Hey guys, welcome to week 3, module 3 of 8 assignments. So this will go pretty quick. So what I want to do this week is kind of do like a little rough overview of what we're going to be working on, and then we'll kind of go into the lecture / lab, etc. So this introduction is we're going to talk about this. Actually, real quick, just kind of spin back a little bit. But this assignment is, or these weeks are consolidated into 2 weeks. So traditionally, if you did this in a 15-week course, you would do this every week. So you'd have a limited amount of information, so you wouldn't have as much information as you have here. But anyways, we're going to learn about creating a database table by writing code, copying an existing table into another table, purging tables, adding data, updating data, etc. And then we'll get into some other conditional statements such as where clauses and roll-ups and stuff like that. And some of the things we will not really, like the roll-up things, they're hit or miss on how much I expect you to have to know at this point. Learning resources, chapters 5 and 6. Learning summary, quiz, discussion board. Summary is, basically write what you learned. There's a quiz. Actually, I'm thinking about it because sometimes I had the tendency to make sure that it is not enable. So let's make sure it's enable until next 15th at midnight. I'll make sure that you guys had a chance to do it now. 2 times. Sure. Yes. Yes. All right. Now I think about it. I wonder if I'm gonna go back. I hope I didn't forget that enabled the quiz. All right. Apparently I was fine there. All right. All right. Cool. So going back to this right here. So we have summary, quiz, module discussion, and assignment. So the module is create a database in MySQL Workbench, 3 tables of your preference, add data to the table, and discuss your initial post with a screenshot of your table and what you have developed that matches a relational database design. So you're going to do a screenshot, you're going to create a relational database design. It could, like I said, 3 tables. It could be like maybe one table's movies, one table's location, another table is, I don't know, TV shows, and you like them all together. I don't know. Just send that out there, and you'll do a screenshot and you'll talk about it. So that is your discussion, and then your assignment is, see, I don't want, well, you could do a screenshot of your query, but you know what, I'm gonna change that. I don't know why I never changed it before. I want you guys to save it in .sql. Nope. Save your query as module 3 .sql. That way, I should have the due date on here, which is the 15th, and I'm doing all the work now. Sorry guys, this is not what this is supposed to be like, but anyways. All right, cool. And then your discussion. All right, awesome. So let me start a new screen here. And at this point, you guys had some experience working with stuff. So this week we're going to work with SQL commands. Talking about creating a copy of a table. So one of the reasons that you would create a copy of a table, and this is typically why I'd ask somebody something. So traditionally, let's say that you are working on a bunch of data, maybe 1,000 rows of data or something like that, and you have to make some modifications to the data. And typically what I do, and it's just something that I've learned along the route when you're working in industry, is to make a backup of it, create a template of it, a backup copy, because you don't understand how many times or how easy it is to update something and be like, oh my gosh. Like, I'll give you an example. When I started off, I was, God, I can't say exact thing that happened, but I had to update like it was like 1,200 rows, and I had to make a change. And I was in a hurry, and I did an update statement. And I update everything, and I was like, I about died because I was like, oh my god, I just like messed all the data up. And first thing I thought was like, no one will ever figure it out. Well, I mean, I only did it for like 3 seconds, and I was figuring out how I could go back and roll back to code the data. And it only took 12 seconds. This woman in the billing department, she goes, oh my God, all the billing codes changed to the same thing. Something's going on. I was like, oh wow, that was quick. So with some help, I was able to figure out how to roll it back to the previous transaction. So we'll talk about stuff like that. And this video actually might be multiple videos. So the first video, and I think I'd be smart, is to do it on one part, and the second will be on the second part. So anyways, create a copy of data. So let's just do that. So last week you guys had a chance to go through here and learn some of these tables here. So for example, we have this one table here, the invoice table. So if I do select invoices, like that, I can run the, oh, I need to do this, use here, use AP. Now run it, you see we get data. Now, this is what I do, and this is the right thing to do, is find out what the count is. So if you do a count, this is a function, it'll give us a total number of records. Okay, so I do that, my records are 118. So I'm gonna put right here, 118 records. Perfect. Now I'm gonna do my copy right here. Copy, we'll say create a secondary table. So like a backup table. So what I'll do here is I'll type create, and I'll show you something. If you're using SQL Server, which we're not, you do select all into new table from existing table. So it'll be like that. But that's SQL Server or Oracle. Unfortunately, MySQL is different. So you have to type it create table. And we would say, oops, if I can spell right. It helps when you can spell. Create table, and I'm gonna say invoices, copy, and I'll do as. And then below that, I'll do select everything from invoices. Okay, so now if I run this right here, it says that it did it. So this is how I can tell. I come up here and do a count from invoices, and so my record should be 118. There it is, 118. You notice how I highlight that? When you highlight a query, what it does is it only runs that query. Versus if I just run everything, it runs everything. I don't want that. So that's how you create a duplicate table. Now, you could create a partial table. And you ask me, Jeff, what's a partial table? Well, I'm going to tell you what a partial table is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and select everything from invoices. And we'll highlight this again and run it. And so a partial table is only certain stuff that you're looking for. So let's do a order by. Order by invoice number, and then maybe if, you know, let's do vendor ID. So an order ID, and if we haven't, an order ID, an order by, if we haven't talked about it, is when you sort your records. Like if you go in Excel and you sort them by ascending or descending, that's basically what it is. So let's do this. All right, so let's tell it ascending, because we didn't tell it. All right, so we sort by ascending, so we're looking for all the duplicates, all the ones that are the same. So what I'm trying to do is, here. I'm trying to identify vendor IDs, other vendor IDs that are duplicate. So we have 110, a lot of 110s. So let's do 110. So let's do this. Select all from invoices, where. So if you want to do a where clause, and we'll talk about this, is when you, like if you drill down in the data and you keep going down, it uses where clauses. So we're going to say select everything from invoices where vendor ID equals 110. Okay, so this should give me all my records. As you see here, I got 5 records. All right, so now what we need to do is create a partial table. So what we would do is, let's do this, copy this, and we'll call it something else. I'll call it number 2 for now. And what we'll do is we'll do a where clause. So we'll say where, same thing that we did down here, vendor ID equals 110, just like that. So now we run this right here. And now if we do, paste that here. And there we go. We got the same records, 5 records. So now it's a partial table because we did a where clause. Okay. I would ask if you have any questions, but even if you were here, you wouldn't say anything. All right. So then let's say that we wanted to delete a table. So, you know, let's say that I wanted to delete my table I created right here, the invoices copy. Let's say I wanted to delete the partial one I just did. So, how to purge a table. So, there's a couple things, and we'll talk about this. When deleting data, we'll talk about how to delete data. We'll talk about how to wipe data out. And we'll talk about how to completely remove the table as if it never exists. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to type in drop table and then the name of the table. Invoices, copy 2. Now you want to be careful because what's going to happen is right now if I come up here, like for example, if I do a test, so let's do a test. So if I do select counts from invoices, copy 2, you know, we should have what, 5 records. Perfect. Now I'm going to drop that table, so it's going to be completely gone. It says it dropped it. I'll run that count, and it says cannot run it because it doesn't exist. So, because it's gone. That's how you drop an entire table. Let's see here. What else can we do? We can insert. I can show you how to do some inserting data, and then we can talk about how to insert multiple rows and all that stuff. So let's go over to vendors. That might be a good one. All right, vendors has a lot of rows, a lot of data. I want to do something that doesn't have much data. All right, perfect. Vendor contacts, not much data. All right. Vendor contacts. So first thing I'm going to do is select all the records from there. Just to see what we're working with. Okay. All right, so we see that we have like a bunch of records here. So I'm going to do an insert. So one thing you have to do is when you're inserting data, you need to understand what you're inserting. So for example, if I click on the columns, I'm looking to see if any of these are like, okay, this is a using a primary key. I'm looking to see if it's using an auto table. Because if it's using an auto table, like if I go to alter table, if it's using like AI, that means that this number right here is automatically generated. But since it's using a primary key, and you see here that non-null, not null, means that you can't just add a value to last name and first name without adding it here. It won't let you do it. But by it not having this here means that you have to enter a number in automatically. So that gets a little tricky because in this case you have to make sure that you're not using one of the numbers. Okay. So what we'll do here is we'll do insert into, and then we'll do the name of the table, which is vendor contacts. Okay. And then we come down here and type in values and parentheses. You also want to make sure that if you're using a number, you don't use ticks. The only time you use the ticks is if you're using a string value. In this case, it's a vendor ID, so I'm going to say not. I'm going to say 124 doesn't exist. I'll do that. Comma. I'll give it a last name. I'll do tick. I'll say Seaman is the last name, and the first name is Jeffrey. Just like that. So now, if I do this, it shows that it insert one record. So I can come up here to select contacts and maybe hit run. Okay. There we go. Took a second. And there I am, Jeffrey Seaman. So now let's say that we wanted to enter, insert multiple values. So, no, we just insert one row. Let's say that we wanted to insert multiple rows of values. So what we could do is, first of all, why create the wheel? Come down here. I don't want to use the same one, so I'll change it to 125. And I will make that. 1 second. Get someone's name here. All right, now we get some names here. Let's see. We'll make this one Snyder, and we'll pick Christina. Not picking on anyone, just picking some names that are normal here. Let's see here. So now you see how we end with it, with that right there? We don't want to do that. So we want to do a comma right here. And what we want to do is, this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do values like that. And then I'm going to add another row just like this. I'm going to do comma. And then do the semicolon here. But we'll do 126. And this time we'll do Sean Stefanko, if I said your name right. Hopefully I did. And Sean. And if we wanted to add another one, we would just do a comma, same thing, and go on from there. So actually we will add a third one. And let's see who we can pick on. We'll do Miss Kim. There we go. Just like that. All right, so now we're adding multiple rows. So what we're gonna do here is highlight that, insert it. It shows that it inserted in there. And so we're gonna highlight it. And there we go, we got our new records, just like that. So we did 3 records, just like that, no problems. Okay, so that's how you do an insert. Let's see what else can we do here. We can do. I think of something that's not so complicated. All right, you know what? We'll go into an update statement here now. Since we did an insert statement, I think that'd be good. And we could use this existing data, which is fine. So, update statement. What is an update statement? Well, an update statement is what you think it is. You're updating something. You're making a change to it. So let me actually show you something I'm building for myself, if I can find it. Where is it at? Bear with me. I have 1,000 windows open up. I have it run on my local host somewhere. Oh, here it is. So I'm building this background right here where you could modify stuff. So if I pulled in, well, that's not built yet. Like if I pulled in reports, and you could come in here and edit stuff. So I'm building this environment using MySQL background and using the database. And what I'm doing is coming up with a way to track my wine. So for example, as you guys know, I like a lot of wine. And a couple things I'm doing is I'm tracking the wine that I make. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna put a serial number on the wine labels in the future, and I'll be able to track it, and just to kind of see like what's my inventory, how many do I have, etc. But also like the wine that I have that I either purchase or even my own wine, the same way I want to, like for example, I built this closet and it has wine in it, and it started off where I just kind of kept it in there, and then it has like a staircase that goes down. I'll show you guys one day, and I built these portals where you can put the wine in. So I built a database that has like how many slots. So like right now I think there's like 12 rows, and each row has 8 across. That's like it could fit 96 wines in there. And so like I could easily pull up and say, hey, someone's at the house, or like, so you guys feeling like, they're like, oh, I would like to have a Riesling. I could just pull up Riesling on my phone and say, oh, okay, in row 4 and 5, slot 6 and 8, there's a Riesling from New York. There's a Riesling that Jeff made, something like that. It makes it easy. And then I'm also building one for my basement where I'm starting to build shelving there, and then I also have one for the other room where I have wine, so we have so much wine. But anyways, so I'm building that for myself. And so once I'm done with it, I'll share the source code out on GitHub for free, and it could be for anyone to use the same thing. Anyways, that has nothing to do with this class, but it kind of does. All right, guys. Sorry, I wanted to see what that score is at. This is nice. Tampa's losing. All right. So we're going to do an update statement. If I can spell. That was an insert statement, buddy. All right. Update statement is. I'm cutting a corner here, you guys. Class starts in an hour, 53 minutes. So I'm trying to get this done as quick as possible. All right, so let's say update vendor contacts. So when you write the update statement, you say update name and table, and then what we're going to do is set something. So we're going to say, what are we setting? Or we're going to say, what are we changing? So we're going to say here, we're going to change the vendor ID. We're going to say set vendor ID. So you do a set, the name of the field that you want to change equals 128. Now, if I ran this right now, what do you think would happen? You're right, I would copy all of it. So let's create a backup and show you what happens. All right, so let's go back up to our backups, and we'll just keep our backups in the same area. How about that? Where do we have it at? All right, so we'll say create table, and it will be vendor contacts, copy as select everything from vendor contacts. We don't want a partial, we want everything. So let's do this right here. Execute it, boom. Copy it. Before we update it, let's select everything from it. There we go. And let's run it. And look at that, it has all that data, so perfect. I can use that data right here. All right, so this is what's gonna happen is when I do update vendor contacts, copy that table, it's gonna take the vendor ID and set all these guys at 128. You know why? Because I didn't tell it to change anything. So let's do it, see what happens. We ran it, so let's execute the code and see what it looks like now. It changed it, but let me show you something I forgot to tell you. So you see up here, if you're using a Mac or PC, you need to go to Preferences. I just remember this. You need to go to SQL Editor the first time you do this. You want to go down and click this right here. You want to uncheck that where it says Save Updates. If you don't, you'll get a crazy message. This is the same way for PC and Windows. Mine's up here, but yours will be the same way. It'll be Preferences. Just FYI. So you see here, it changed everything to 128. Okay, so that's not what we want. So now that table is damaged, everything looks the same. So let's say we wanted to change it. We could say set vendor ID equal to 129, and we could say we can't, typically we could say, hey, where vendor ID equals this, but we can't use 128 because they're all the same. So now we have to do it on something else. So we'll say where last name equals Manning. So we're Ken. What we'll do here is we'll run this. Ran it, as you can see here. And then I'm going to execute it. And look at that, it changed it to 129. That's how, ladies and gentlemen, you do a successful update statement. And that's how you do that. But let's say that we wanted to change multiple fields in there, okay? So let's copy this and say update multiple values. We only have 2 values to update, so we can say, let's set the vendor ID equals 130, where the last name equals Manning, and we want to also change the first name. We're going to say first name equals, what's the most famous Manning in the world? Peyton. So we're saying, hey, update vendor copy table, set the vendor ID equal to 130, first name equal to Peyton, where the last name equals Manning, which is 129. So let's do this right here. Now, if you have multiple Mannings and you want to go to an ID that's like this, I could say right here, I could say, hey, where, and this is a safe way of doing it. I could say vendor ID equals 129. We could do that now since that one's different than the rest. That's the safe way. So then I'll execute it. And then I'll come back down here and query it. And to that, we got Peyton Manning 130. That's how you do multiple updates. And you can just keep going down the board. Okay. All right, so we talked about update statements. I talked about the safe update, which is good. So we can also do an update statement where we're doing a subquery, which we haven't really talked about yet. But I'm not going to talk about it now. I'll come back to it because I think it'll just be too confusing, to be honest with you. I want to keep it as simple as possible. But what I will talk about is how to delete a row, though. Okay. So let's talk about deleting a row. I hope you guys are having fun. So when I was when I took computer science my last year of high school, my teacher, and it was kind of crazy though, but he would play like Mozart music, like classical music, and he said it would like kind of soften the mind and whatever. And so when I look back on it, I really appreciated that because it was nice. You go to his class, it was period 10, it was the last class of the day. I was just learning computer science, and you just go in that class and your mind would just be kind of relaxed. You're here, classical music playing, and you're programming. It was just amazing. Unfortunately, he's passed away some time ago. I would have loved him to know what I do now, because I think he would be very excited to hear about it. Some of us there was 3 of us in the class that did something with computer science, like, here I am teaching it. I have a friend who is a CEO. He started his own company up from nothing, and it was like a $20 million company in Pittsburgh called Jazz. He sold it and then started a new company up down in Atlanta, and he's doing really good. And then the other guy, he does a lot of like, he did before COVID happened, but he does a lot of speaking. He goes to places and speaks and on anything with software development and whatever. And he also works for some engineering company. But we all went different paths, but I find it fascinating. So he would be very excited on the different things that we're doing, I think, in computer science. Anyways, go down memory lane there. All right, so start with this one. We'll say delete from a table name. And in this case right here, we'll say vendor contacts copy. And we do like a where condition. So we'll say where, what we want to do here is, I think we're going to delete row 130. since we use it. So we'll say where vendor ID equals 130. Okay. So if I run this right here, it should delete it. It says it deleted it. I don't know if it deleted it. So let's see. Run this query here. Look at that, 130 is gone. That is how you delete it. Now painting's gone. All right. The other delete statement is a subquery. Once again, I'm not going to get into it. I think the next, how long have we been recording here? Yeah, 30 minutes. The next video is talking about summary queries, I believe. And I'll save that for a new video. I'm just going to keep this one as is right here. Oops. So just a recap we did. Talked about how to create a secondary table, partial table. We talked about how to completely purge a table, which is dropping it. We talked about how to insert a single row. We insert multiple rows, updated one statement, multiple rows, and then obviously delete a row. Okay, so this right here ends the first video of the lab. The second one will be on summary queries. And the reason I do the labs is because I can provide you a lecture and be honest with you, you're not getting out of it. You're just reading it and you're not really understanding what's happening. So to me, that would be an insult on you guys if I did that. So I go the extra mile and do the videos, and I think they're very important. And plus, I think a student said that it might have been this class or another class that the videos were difficult to see. And I didn't realize that because I was using Teams to do it, and they only recorded a low quality. So I have this software that's recording it at high quality, so the image quality should be a lot better. So anyways, let me get ahead and save this and post it out to my YouTube channel, and then I'll get the other video going, and you guys will be rock and rolling before you know it. Thanks for watching. Have a great night or great day. Bye for now.